着镜头探访南非，继续来看，过过12年，恐惊就会断种的非洲企鹅。讲全世界有野生企鹅的国家无到10个，其中非洲的2个国家，南非甲纳米比亚，有上赞上好的天然环境，互斑嘴环企鹅伫咧遐生活100万年。斑嘴环企鹅曾经是南非数量上最海鸟。 全盛时期超过100万只，煞伫短短30年内快速来消失，剩无到1%。科学家预估，到2035年，这种的企鹅就会断种。华视采访团队前进南非，对着生态专家走访企鹅的栖地甲救伤中心，嘛来探讨人类会当提供予企鹅啥物款的帮助。
黑色的脚底，显看头前的斑点，这个头前端也有白色的圆环，甲粉蓝色的白彩。这黑色的碰石球正飞伫海沙坡，轻柔的叫声真热烈。因就是斑嘴环企鹅，生活伫南非和纳米比亚，嘛互称作是非洲企鹅，或者是欧卡企鹅。
Penguins that are molting. Once a year, they have to come out onto the beach and just change their feathers. But in that time, they're not waterproof, so they can't go out into the ocean to look for food. So they just have to live off their fat while they're standing on the beach.
How old is the small penguin there?
Those little ones, I would guess 3 or 4 weeks. We can see all the different ages of penguins here, from very small babies still in the nest, you know, where they still have their brown feathers. They're not waterproof yet, and we can see them going into the juvenile plumage of the blue-gray, and then the adults, which is black and white.
企鹅的世界是一夫一妻，高队拢出双入队。斑嘴环企鹅的祖先，1800年前随着洋流定居伫南部非洲。这点古水的海洋居民，也是南非数量上最海鸟，是非洲的特有种。
在开普敦的 Borders Beach， 每年都会有1000对的企鹅来到这里繁殖。这里是南非目前还唯一保持着数量稳定的企鹅栖地。在我们背后就可以看到有2只企鹅正上岸来做休息。但是现在这些非洲企鹅却面临了濒临绝种的危机。
If you look at the 2 babies there, they're exposed to sun, it gets very hot, they're exposed to the rain, and so a penguin that nests in this kind of open area is much more likely to lose their babies.
极端气候让因收不再安全，为了保护后一代，企鹅妈妈用身体捕囡仔斗3工价值。
Offshore islands where the penguins nested on, you know, they had always been covered in a thick layer of guano. We call it guano. It's actually bird poo from thousands of years of seabirds, and it made like a soil that the penguins could burrow into to make a very good nest. But then Europeans discovered this guano on the islands made very good fertilizer for farms, you know. So they came and took the guano away, and that meant that the penguins didn't have such good nesting sites anymore.
长期关注企鹅生态的保育顾问 Adam 带阮详细观察栖地变化，沿着海岸线行到灌木丛，对企鹅的叫声走出影只。
在岸上有很多像这样塑胶制的桶子，它们被设置为当作是企鹅的人造巢穴，为了要让它们避寒来保暖。
This is improving the breeding success of penguins because it's helping them to tolerate the temperature shift.
是去做实物材料，企鹅被伫动物团体打造的人工鹅。是，实际是企鹅生存的关卡之一。
Probably less than 1% of the penguins that were here 100 years ago, and there is still a decline. And today, the decline, a lot of it has to do with the lack of fish. You know, there has been some overfishing in certain areas. The government is not doing enough to restrict fishing around Penguin Islands. These areas need to be bigger. However, the fishing industry is politically powerful. Now we have a problem with shipping, with ships transferring fuel oil from one boat to the other. And sometimes we have some oil spills that harms the penguins, but it's very clear now that the noise of the ship engines very close to the island where the penguins are breeding really affects them badly.
因为干扰和天性较敏感的非洲企鹅族群面对生存危机。研究统计，非洲过去有超过100万对的企鹅。1910年，干那一个岛屿的栖地都有57万对，占过30年来总数量减75%。1999年大概4万2000对，2009年2万对，2019年13000对，到2022年敢若剩1万对。真侪南非的在地居民和 Adam 同款，自细汉和企鹅做厝边，作为鸟类的生态学家，伊更加着急。
It's part of our identity as a city is to have these penguins here, and to think that when my kids are still young, they might not be here anymore. You know, that's really quite shocking to me, because penguins have been living on the coast of Africa for millions of years.
通常企鹅都在不受天敌或者是人为干扰的岛屿上来做繁殖，但是从1980年代开始，渔村建筑它就成为了人工的屏障，很好的来阻挡野生动物的攻击。所以呢，有越来越多的企鹅来到了南非的西部海岸栖息，这里就形成了非常独特的海滩栖地。但现在因为濒临绝种的危机，所以有越来越多的科学家和兽医投入了保育工作。消毒，因为现在有一些像禽流感的病毒，不能
采访团队拜访南非海鸟基金会，制作开普敦上重要的企鹅救伤中心，50年来嘛成做非洲的海鸟研究点。研究人员将企鹅抱起来量体重，按照健康状况互因休啊。企鹅只有活力被收容伫遮，面对着动物医生入去到手术室等待高水的病患。
So this penguin had a nasty cut there and another cut here. We sewed them up. This was probably from a shark. Shark probably bit him. Sharks are normal predators for penguins, so it's not unnatural.
这只企鹅现在因为在手术过后，现在要拆线，所以兽医正在帮它处理这个伤口。
See how good their feathers are. It's very hard to find the stitches.
每一只被救伤的企鹅啊，来到这里之后，都会第一个由兽医来做所有的伤口的检视。如果有需要所有的一些手术啊，什么都是由兽医来亲自照料。
Don't cut their feathers off when you do surgery like you do with a normal animal, because then they're waterproof and they'll survive better in the wild.
企鹅紧张甲湿啦一直热，2礼拜前的伤势好啊，到头啊恢复健康。
Until that muscle gets enough strength, until he's ready for release. We're really happy to say that it's over 80% of the penguins that we get that actually go back into the wild. So that's an amazing success.
它身上的这些斑点，其实就是它身份的认证。每一只企鹅的这个斑点都不一样，所以其实兽医们他们也会根据它的这些身体的特征来辨识它是哪一只企鹅。
We have these microchips. It's about the size of a big grain of rice. That gets put into the penguin under the skin, on the leg, and that stays with him his whole life. We have a database that has this microchip number, as well as the whole history of the bird when he was here in Sankop, why he came in, how long he stayed here, what we treated him for, where he was released, and his age, and some measurements.
自2023年到8月为止，就已经有502只企鹅的救伤记录。就惊企鹅族群消失，研究团队长期监测，而且建立完整的资料库。不过动物医生也真烦恼。
But the biggest problem that penguins are facing is actually a lack of food, and there we get skinny penguins that are underweight, and we have to treat them medically so that they can recover again. The wounds, luckily penguins don't usually have too many wounds from human activity, but all the other problems we're seeing are definitely because of people.
Oh, the food? Something. Something.
Sardine.
Something.
Right? Yeah.
早起11点，拄好是食饭时间，企鹅排几排，等人甲吃。食完仔鱼，食甲欢喜勃勃，伫辛苦收容的企鹅，唔免烦恼摇巴肚，嫌过未来也红现实，实际战争。
The African penguin eats mostly sardine and anchovy, so these relatively small fish, and those fish stocks are very, very low at the moment, which has different reasons. It's partly probably influenced by heavy industrial fishing pressure, but also by environmental changes in currents, water temperature, those things. Currently, most colonies are declining at a rate of 5 to 10% every year. So there are model predictions that say that the species could actually be functionally extinct, so where the genetics isn't good to actually sustain itself into the future in certain areas of South Africa within the next 10 to 15 years.
研究企鹅超过20档的科学家分析，为人类乌鸟挖屎、过度掠鱼仔到全食流油，极端气候更加让企鹅的生存环境更加艰难。
We see a lot more extreme weather events. So we have more heat waves in the summer months, we have stronger winter storms, there's a lot of rain, breeds in winter, and we got a lot of chicks in that were literally sitting in the water and were about to die of hypothermia or drowning.
曾经住在优越的非洲企鹅，逐渐被限制伫人类活动和气候变迁的天然地方。保育单位积极在找解方。
We are working with several agencies, including our weather department, our national parks department, on like an early warning system. So when the weather modelers will say, look, we're expecting a big winter storm, that we know which colonies will be affected. And then with our rangers in the colonies, we know how many birds are actually on eggs, how many are on chicks, and then we can be better prepared.
除了研究单位，国际级的海参馆联手发起连署行动，找民众参与，希望人人拢当变成企鹅守护者。
But we've realized that we really need to come together and have a drive to start making a real difference, because otherwise the African penguin is going to go extinct by 2035, which is only a short 12 years. And so really what this campaign is about is that it's to create awareness in the public first and foremost, for them to become aware that the African penguin is in such a dire situation. Aquariums are places where we have animals that are in human care, and this is something, the Tertians Aquarium particularly, our goal is actually to get to a point where our wild ocean spaces are so healthy that we don't need to exist anymore.
企鹅作为海洋生态系健康的指标物种，因的消失表示海洋当走向死亡危机。为非洲企鹅面对物种看到全球生物相同的难题，同款生活的地球，咱袂当结果。